Good morning. Welcome to the Minnehaha County Commission meeting for January 20th, 2026. I call this meeting to order and note for the record that we do have a quorum of commissioners present. Commissioner Benninga is absent this week. Before we get started, just please silence your cell phones, and if you're going to speak today, please sign in on the back of the room. Stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Look for a motion to approve our agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Consent agenda. Anybody from the public want to comment on any item on the consent agenda? Commissioners, anybody want to remove any item or address any item on the consent agenda? For a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. Please call the roll.
Bleinberg,
Aye.
Kipley,
Aye.
Heisey,
Aye.
Karski.
Aye. Motion carries. Moving on to our regular business, consider a motion to authorize the jail to purchase a 2026 Dodge Durango from Wegner Auto off of South Dakota, bid contract number 17968 in the amount of $41,672. Warden Mattson, good morning, sir.
Good morning, Commissioners. As you said, my agenda item is to purchase a Dodge Durango off a South Dakota state bid to replace an existing vehicle in our jail fleet.
All right, any public comment on this agenda item? All right, Commission, questions, action?
Mr. Chair, I'll just ask a question. This was budgeted and part of the normal plan?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Isaac?
Mr. Chair. Good morning, Warden. Just curious, how big is the fleet exactly or approximately? And then how often do vehicles get replaced? Are they on a cycle of 3, 4, 5, 6? How many years?
We have, I believe, 9 vehicles in our fleet. They're all used daily for various outside appointments that we have to go to. We don't have a regimented schedule like patrol does. We try to take patrol vehicles that come off a fleet, off of their fleet. Typically, when that happens, we have an increased cost of work that needs to be done on those vehicles to make them serviceable again. So I do plan, usually it's every other year, to replace a vehicle with a new one.
Yeah, depending on wear and tear, mileage, and
Correct.
I'm sure they get quite a lot.
If it's not needed, I'm not going to budget it.
Okay, thank you.
Make the motion to approve.
Second.
Motion is second, call the roll.
Kipley,
Aye.
Heisey,
Aye.
Bleinberg,
Aye.
Karski.
Aye, motion carries. Consider a motion to authorize the chair to sign the jail security electronic service agreement and addendum with Accurate Controls Incorporated. Warden.
Good morning, Mike Mattson, Warden of the Jail again. This is a service agreement with Accurate Controls for the security electronics throughout the jail. That's the video cameras, that's the doors, that's everything, basically the functionality of the operation of the jail. This is a 3-year service agreement. Annual payments come in at about $41,750. And honestly, I was surprised because their price was lower than what I had budgeted for. I was budgeting $45,000 annually, so they came in better than what I expected.
Public comment on this agenda item. Commission, questions, action?
Make a motion to approve?
Second.
Motion and a second. One quick question from me, if you don't mind, Warden. Sure. Accurate Controls been a vendor of ours for how long?
Ever since we did the jail expansion. when we did that expansion, so 2019.
Yeah.
We went with a new security electronics provider, and it's been very good. They've been responsive and helpful to us.
All righty, thank you.
Mr.
Oh, go ahead, Jen.
Mr. Chair, I could just comment too that with the building project with the Juvenile Justice Center, this name is becoming more familiar to me, and I think they have built a good reputation with the county, been a good partner with the jail and now with the JJC.
Okay.
Suppose that sort of leads to my question. Do we use the same system for the JDC as well? Is this only covering the jail, or is it extending to that facility?
This contract is just for the jail. I'm sure Jamie has his own contract set up with them, or will have his own contract set up with them.
We have a 1-year warranty, and then
Jamie, if you're going to speak, I'm going to need you to come up.
just a little known fact, we were one of their first clients in 1996. They put the system in JDC at that time when we expanded. In addition, we have a 1-year warranty on ours, and then when that's done, we'll be coming forward with a similar contract.
Okay, and you are?
I'm Jamie Gravitt, Juvenile Detention Center.
Thank you, sir. All righty, any other questions? Please call the roll.
Blyenberg.
Aye.
Kipley.
Aye.
Heisey.
Aye.
Karski.
Aye, motion carries. Consider a motion to approve a quote in the amount of $21,893.83 from Accurate Controls Incorporated for jail electronic security updates.
Again, Mike Matson, warden of the jail. In 2024, towards the end of it, we found out that we were going to have to do this upgrade to the security electronic system to support the new hardware, updated hardware, updated software packages that they have. I delayed it as long as I could, and I was able to include it in the 2026 budget.
Public comment. Commission.
Make a motion to approve?
Second, roll call vote.
Blyenberg.
Aye.
Heisey.
Aye.
Kipley.
Aye.
Karski.
Aye, motion carries. Consider a motion to authorize the Highway Department to purchase a 2026 Ford F-550 under the State of South Dakota Procurement Contract Number 17966 in the amount of $63,129 and authorize the chair to sign purchase agreement with Lamb Motor Company. Jacob.
Good morning, Commission. Jacob Mars, Highway Department. Before you is a request to purchase an F-550. The current truck that it's going to replace is used on the bridge crew, and the engine on that truck is failing. So it is time to replace it before we have to put a new engine in it. The total amount budgeted for this truck and its associated dump body, which will come in a future request, is just shy of $100,000. And we had budgeted $62,800 for the truck itself, so inflation has got us a little bit with our budgeting process, but we're still pretty close to what we were looking at. I think fall of 2026 is when they expect this truck to be available for our use. So looking for a motion to purchase the pickup truck.
All right, public comment on this agenda item. Commission.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second?
Motion is second. I guess the only comment I would have, Jacob, is I looked through the list. It doesn't look like we have heated leather seats or heating steering wheels or anything like that, so it's a work truck.
Yep, no, it's off the state of South Dakota's bid. We select as few options as we think are necessary to perform our duties. So, yep, it's pretty basic work truck.
All righty. Call the roll.
Kipley.
Aye.
Blyenberg.
Aye.
Heisey.
Aye.
Karski.
Aye, motion carries. Consider a motion to authorize the Highway Department to purchase a JCB 3TS-8T track skid loader in the amount of $99,260 under Sourcewell RFP 020223 contract, and authorize the chair to sign purchase agreement with DMI Diesel Machinery Incorporated.
Commissioner Jacob Mars again. This item serves a couple of purposes. We needed a better skid steer than the one that we had to perform work within the right of way. This JCB skid steer has an extendable arm on it, kind of like a telehandler, if you're familiar with what those are capable of. So we're able to perform our duties in the field a little more safely, can load trucks more easily. And then the unit that we are replacing, facilities needs a newer skid steer. So you'll see a request in the future once we acquire this one to transfer our old unit to facilities.
Okay. Public comment. Commission, questions, action.
Mr. Chair, I'll just ask the question, how'd this compare to what you budgeted for this item? We pretty
Sure.
close on this one too?
Yep, we're pretty close. Our budget was $98,100. So I don't know if it's inflation or tariff, but we're pretty close to what we budgeted for it.
Mr. Chair, just want to make sure I heard correctly. The 2010 Mustang that's being replaced, not the car, is going to be used by the facilities department and under Mark's control and use.
Yeah, yep. There'll be an item, an agenda item at a future meeting where we request that transfer.
I'll make the motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Roll call vote.
Kipley.
Aye.
Heisey.
Aye.
Blindberg.
Aye.
Karski.
Aye. Motion carries. Consider a motion to approve a resolution appointing a member of the County Commission to the Sioux Empire Fair Association Board of Directors. Good morning, Tom.
Morning, Tom Greco, Commission Administrative Officer. Commissioner Benega has served as the county's representative on the Sioux Empire Fair Association Board. This year, it will end up being Commissioner Heisey, assuming this resolution's approved. The reason we pass a resolution is per state law. If we have a nonprofit organization that's managing the fair and the fairgrounds, we have to have a ex officio member on that board of directors. In that particular capacity, Commissioner Heisey would be on the board of directors as a non-voting member. So I would encourage your support of this, and of course, thank Commissioner Benega, who's unable to be here today, for his previous service on the board.
All right. Public comment on this agenda item. Commissioner Heisey, any words?
You could say a little bit, Mr. Chair. I just want to first thank Commissioner Benega for his many years of service on this board, and I very much look forward to serving on it. During the campaign a couple of years ago, I met with John Wick and some of the other board members to discuss various things related to the fair. And I, of course, growing up, attended the fair quite often, and I believe I've attended the fair consecutively the last 7 years. Very invested in enhancing and making sure that the fair is in a good place that the public can enjoy and use. And again, just very much look forward to serving and being of service.
Mr. Chair, I would make a motion to approve this agenda item.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Second.
Motion and a second. Roll call vote.
Blindberg.
Aye.
Kipley.
Aye.
Heisey.
Aye.
Karski.
Aye, motion carries. All right, consider a petition to compromise County Aid Lien DPNO 46902. Sandy is not in today, so Tom's batting.
So you have me again, Tom Greco, Commission Administrative Officer. So what's before you is a petition to compromise and release DPNO 46902 in full upon payment of $2,000. You've been presented with the memorandum. What it shows is that we did receive that petition, and the request certainly is to compromise $20,000 upon payment of $2,000. The lien is for hospital services recorded in 2001, and the original filing was in the amount of $20,371.85. The lien was partially compromised in 2002 as part of an annual commission action capping certain liens at $20,000, and to date, no additional payment has been made. The petitioner stated in his application that he is requesting the compromise due to having a limited and fixed income, which creates financial hardship. The applicant, and much of this information is included in your packet, lists assets in the amount of $181,066.75 from various bank accounts, investments, and an automobile and a rental property with a current market value of $150,032. Total reported liabilities are $24,594.70, which includes $20,913.66 remaining on a mortgage for that rental property, and $3,681.04 in credit card debt. The applicant is not employed but does receive Social Security benefits. His 2026 benefits verification letter states income of $2,434 per month after insurance premiums are deducted. He has also provided a copy of his 2024 tax return showing adjusted gross income of $21,899, taxable income of $7,299. Additionally, there are $728 in taxes owed, again, from that previous tax return. I would turn it over to the commission. The applicant is here if you have any questions.
Okay, thank you, Tom. DPNO is a little different in our normal routine. What we do is we can take comments from the petitioner, who I believe is here. You don't have to come to the podium if you don't want. You don't have to give your name, but if there's anything you would like to address to the commission, we'd love to hear it from you, sir.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Larry Pugh. I'm the petitioner for item 14, and I'm requesting approval of the compromise as submitted. Thank you. Just acknowledging my presence.
Thank you. Mr. Pugh, are you willing to take questions?
Yes.
Okay. I guess a lot of times when we have a request for a compromise of lien, it's typically because of a pending loan closing, that type of thing. And in order to get through closing, people are scrambling to, take care of something that they just found out that they weren't aware that they had. Anything like that in your?
Upon returning to Sioux Falls, I believe that I wanted to secure more secure housing and perhaps sell the rental and purchase a house in Sioux Falls in this county. Therefore, I created the urgency for this. However, that's not guaranteed, and I'm not sure if that would create more upheaval. So I'm still in the decision process about all that.
Okay.
I'm not sure if I'm going to sell the rental house. I'm not sure if I'm going to buy a house. On the other side of the coin, it'd be nice to just get this purged and out of the system.
So you were aware of this for some time then?
Yeah, it's always seemed like a monster to me since the year 2001, and an impossibility to address.
Okay. Commissioners, other questions? Looking for, Mr. Pugh has made an offer for compromise. Do we have a counter offer for him? Are we willing to accept his offer or not do anything at this time? Commissioner
Mr. Chair.
Bleinberg?
Thank you. Thank you for being here. Good morning.
Good morning.
Typically, in my experience on the commission, when someone requests this type of thing, we are willing to negotiate to about 50%. And that's when someone's getting ready to usually buy a property with, then the intention, from what I understand, is that they would become contributing to the budget. You would start paying property taxes to contribute to the same fund that helped you 20-some years ago.
Yep.
So it's a little bit harder for me to consider this request since we're not sure that you would be contributing to the to the budget here. And the 50% mark, I feel like is fair. So I guess my question for you would be, since you're not immediately getting ready to purchase a property, would you be willing to make payments to the county for the time being? We accept payments at any time. We don't turn this over to collections, as you know. And there's no service fees to make a payment. You can drop off a check or cash at any time. I would be inclined to not vote in favor of this right now, but if you were to come back, after having made some payments and maybe discussing closer to like the 50% range, I think that would be a little bit more palatable. Is that something you'd be willing to consider?
Going back to the idea of investing in real estate in Minnehaha County, that's truly a strong possibility for me. And that's the primary reason for this. However, it's not guaranteed. So that's where I'm at with that. And it's a strong possibility if I choose to stay in South Dakota. And that's based on other services too related to my health, whether it's feasible for me to pay for my health situations in this county, or if I have to move somewhere else to pay for that. So that's how it's contingent on that. However, across the board, I would like to purchase a piece of real estate in Sioux Falls, but again, no guarantee.
I understand.
Yeah.
Part of my process of thinking through this is just that we have property owners who are paying taxes, who are in similar situations, and so there's a burden that I feel to make sure that we are asking for a reasonable offer. So I guess at this point, I would be inclined, I'm not sure, are we supposed to make an,
You can make a counter.
if you'd be willing to consider a counter of covering 50% of the current debt, I would be in favor of that, but I understand if you're not able to do that right now, I would vote against this motion.
Yeah, I would like to, but that would throw my finances off so much it'd be impossible.
I can understand that.
Thanks for the idea.
Yeah.
May I ask, Tom, if we propose a counter, how much time does that give the petitioner to pay? Can we set a time frame on it, say a counter offer of 50% and give them 6 months to pay it? Can we do that type of thing?
That I would have to do some research on, although I think it might be a question we would have to ask State's Attorney's Office. In my experience, I have not seen that. But
I don't want to put our state's attorney on the line, so if you're able to answer that now, if not, you can say I have to decline.
Mr. Chairman, Eric Bogue with the State's Attorney's Office. I would tend to agree with Tom's comment that I've not seen that type of time limit put on the payment before, but certainly could research it if you would like to address this at a future meeting.
I think that would be good. So without that time limit, how soon do they have to pay? Do they have to pay within 24 hours? Do they have to pay
typically we have them pay today.
Today? Okay. Good to know.
Mr. Chair, I would just throw out sentiments kind of echoing my colleague, Commissioner Blyenberg, that our standard is usually 50%. I think we'd have some ability to vary from that. I kind of like the idea of if there's no immediate event, I think good faith on the petitioner would be to get on some kind of payment plan just to show good faith that something's getting paid down. And then I think when it becomes ripe that you actually need this action taken, coming back before us, showing a track record that you've paid down on some amount, and then the negotiation somewhere between maybe 10% is kind of the low offer and we're at 50%. I think if you've kind of shown a track record of some kind of payment plan and sticking to that, I think we might have further sympathy for your cause and the immediacy of your cause. But with no transaction pending as we speak, I'd kind of either defer this action or whatever the technical parliamentary procedure aspect, but I think I'd share Commissioner Blyenberg's assessment of not voting for this as presented.
I would basically agree with the sentiments of Commissioner Kipley on this. As I was thinking about the similar circumstances that's come before us in the past, and I think this varies in small part given that there's no pending sale. And there are quite a number of individuals in the county that are making regular payments and have been for quite some time. And I would have liked to have seen at least some effort towards paying this down before coming before us to forgive 90% of the outstanding lien. I'd be in favor of putting this aside for now and maybe looking at it, sometime down the road.
So Do I need a motion? Or to reject, or or maybe a motion for a different amount, and, okay, so look for a motion from maybe Commissioner Bleinberg for,
So I would make a motion to
compromise for 10,000?
to compromise, leading DPNO 46902 for $10,000. Is that,
I would get the applicant's feedback on that. If he could come up and provide some feedback.
Okay, I have a motion, I'm gonna have to either look for a second or let it die.
I'll second for the purpose of discussion.
Okay, go ahead, please.
So my name's Larry Pugh, and I would appreciate that offer, but there's no way I could do that at this point in time.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you.
No, and I can be corrected here if I'm wrong, but by this motion, if you don't make the payment, the full lien amount stays on you, and as commissioners have been saying, please start making some nominal payments, $100, $200, $500 a month, whatever you can afford, so that when you do have a loan closing, you say, okay, I can't close on my property, but I've made payments for so long, would you compromise it now for X? You would probably have a more sympathetic or willing commission to do that. But this, loan has been sitting there for 25 years, and it is a loan, it's a lien, and it's been sitting there interest-free and just at a simple interest rate of even 9%. I mean, it would have doubled twice. It'd be an $80,000 debt at this point. We don't charge interest on these things. But I'd encourage you to start making some payments so that within the next year or whatever it is that you decide you're going to purchase a property, you can come to us and say, look, in good faith, I've done this. And I think you would have a much more willing ear to listen to your story. So.
Can I ask a question? If I determined to sell my rental property in Millbank, South Dakota, to buy a property here, would that open the doors more likely to getting it at the 10% offering that I'm offering today?
That would, anything's possible. I can't say for sure, but anything could be considered. Okay. Yes, sir. All right, so I have a
Mr. Chair.
motion and a second.
If I just may offer a recommendation, I think the motion that's on the table would somewhat complicate the record and the tracking of what we're trying to do or what's trying to be done with it. As I understand it, it's a motion to compromise at 50%, but that would not occur until we receive the 50% payment, which could be in a week, 6 months, or never. Going back to Commissioner Bleinberg's original point, and if the intended outcome is to see payments, my recommendation, given what I'm hearing from the board, would be a rejection of, first, a withdrawal of the motion for a 50% compromise, and then secondly, if I'm reading the commission right, a rejection of the petitioner's proposal. That would give the petitioner time to make payments at his own will to the auditor's office and then come back at a future time.
Might be cleaner.
I will withdraw my motion with thanks to everybody who helps keep us in line.
And withdrawal of the corresponding second.
You have a new motion?
My new motion would be to reject this petition to compromise.
Okay.
Second.
All right, I think it's cleaned up. All right, so roll call vote, please.
Bleinberg,
Aye.
Kipley,
Aye.
Heisey,
Aye.
Karski.
Aye, motion carries. Thank you, everybody. A briefing of the fourth quarter 2025 American Rescue Plan expenditures. Susan, do we have a lot of these left?
No.
No?
This actually is my last quarterly briefing.
Okay.
Good news, you won't see me as much until budget season. Then you'll see me all the time. Susan Beeman with the Auditor's Office. So for our fourth quarter 2025 spending, we spent $244,472.58. All of these funds were on the emergency response infrastructure project, the tower project through the sheriff's department. So with those dollars expended, we have fully expended all of our ARPA funding. So at this point, I will file the fourth quarter report with the U.S. Treasury, reporting that our funds are now fully expended. Going forward, we now have to wait for the U.S. Treasury to invite us to close out. So we can't close this grant out until the Treasury gets in touch with us. Technically, we have a full another year to spend the rest of this, so it could be any time throughout 2026 when we're invited to close out, or it might be early 27. I'm not sure. So over this course of this next year during closeout, we will have to continue filing quarterly reports, but essentially there'll be 0 reports because we've already expended everything. I don't plan to come back every quarter telling you I reported nothing. So our intentions is just to continue filing those reports until we're invited to close out. And then at that time that we do get to close out, I will come back and do that final closeout briefing, either through an agenda item or consent agenda, however the direction is from the commission at that time. But it could be next quarter, it could be in a year. I'm just not sure when that will be.
Okay.
So at this point, this is the complete list of everything we have spent to date on the ARPA funding, and just over $37.5 million spent since the beginning of 2022 on this grant award.
All right, public comment on this agenda item. This is a briefing, no action. Commissioners, any comments or questions?
Mr. Chair, I'll just throw out a thank you to Susan and the auditor's office and all the budgeting process. I think all of our budgets would have been much more difficult without this funding, but also with this funding created some headaches too. So appreciate your work on this, and I think we're going to be entering an era of kind of the compliance aspect of this. So I appreciate you keeping our numbers buttoned up and tight, because I can foresee potential audits and some things coming back on us. So wanting to dot our I's and cross our T's and how we spent this funding, and I think we were pretty conservative, always painting within the lines on how to use this funding. So feel very confident on that and feel that our taxpayers got a great benefit from these funds. So thank you.
Just one more thing to add. We have annually had our auditors, Department of Legislative audit these funds. We are required annually to have what we refer to as a single audit completed when we expend a certain amount in federal dollars because of the dollar amount of this award. Every year, this award has been tested by the auditors for compliance reasons. And for 25 expenditures, it will be tested again because there was well over $1 million spent on this grant alone. So that will continue, and that will be happening next year or during this year when DLA comes in to do our audit.
All right.
Mr. Chair, I'd just like to echo Commissioner Kipley's comments and say thank you for the work that you've done. It's been a big lift, and I think your guidance has really helped us to be able to use those funds well. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Susan, I can't imagine anybody else in the country has done a better job. You've done, I mean, yeah, it's just the tracking and the I's and the T's, as Commissioner Kipley said. Good job. And, in the program overall, you look at, we talked about the emergency response infrastructure improvements, our employees. We used, I think, ARPA funds very judiciously, and the county and the citizens and the employees of the county are in a much better place safety-wise and compensation-wise. So thank you.
You're welcome.
All right.
For Susan.
Yep.
I sort of came into this position as a lot of these funds were already dedicated or appropriated, and perhaps Susan, you can highlight some of the larger expenditures that we used this money on. I understand a lot of it was one-time expenses.
We did have a number that were one-time expenses. One I'll just point out is new positions. That was just about $3.5 million. So one of the things that the ARPA final rule allowed us to do is invest in public sector capacity, meaning that they acknowledge, the U.S. Treasury acknowledged the fact that local governments have been underfunded in certain capacities just due to the budget process and how local governments are funded, and that we were allowed to use these dollars to fund new positions over the pre-pandemic baseline. So there was a formula that we had to live within of how many positions that we could add within this framework that would be allowed to be covered. So essentially what we elected to do as Minnehaha County is say the new positions that were approved during this window that were able to be used ARPA funds, we did. And so the alternative to that would have been most of them would have been general fund dollars, meaning they would have went directly onto our property tax budgets and things like that immediately, where we were able to streamline that in over the course of this award. So it kind of minimized and delayed that implementation to help us get to a better place to do that. And then the Emergency Response Infrastructure Improvements Project is another great example. Close to $3.9 million spent on that award that was definitely needed to serve our county to improve those radio towers for not only Minnehaha County law enforcement, but other first responders in the county. Without this grant, it would have been Minnehaha County property tax dollars that would have paid for that.
All right, thank you.
All right, thank you, Susan. Moving on, annual review of the rules of procedure. Meredith.
Good morning, Commissioners. Meredith Jarko, Assistant Commission Administrative Officer. So, yes, today we have our annual review of the rules of procedure. If you'll remember, in August of 2024, we had quite a few edits to the rules of procedure, and those were passed on August 20th. However, the rules do state that we must review the rules of procedure at a regularly scheduled January meeting each year. So just a refresher, the rules of procedure are for our Board of Commissioners to provide general guidance in conducting meetings. It outlines a lot of different things: board organization, rules of conduct, meeting types, committees, all of those great things. And at this time, there is no official action requested because the commission staff has no recommended changes to the rules of procedure. So this is just the annual review. But we are looking for guidance if any members of the commission had suggested edits or questions about the rules of procedure. Happy today to answer those questions. And then if there are suggested edits, our office would work on those to put those together and bring them in front of the commission at a different time to approve those changes to the rules of procedure.
Okay, thank you, Meredith. Public comment. I do have a suggestion, and I've kind of floated this by most of my fellow commissioners, I think all of them, but I can't be certain. I'm going to suggest that after this year, that whoever is the vice chair of the commission also be the liaison to the planning commission. It's a good learning place being on the planning commission. We've only had two people in my 10 years now on the planning commission. It's Commissioner Kipley and Commissioner Barth, and I think we probably could benefit from our vice chair serving also on the planning commission or liaison. So it's a suggestion. I'd like to put it out there. If anybody has thoughts on that, it would allow for a little bit of new blood every once in a while. Plus, I think so much of our more controversial stuff can come through the planning commission. So it's just a good learning ground.
Commissioner Karski, I much like that idea. Just a kind of a point of clarification, would the vice chair be serving in addition to another liaison, or would they be the primary liaison on that
They'd
board?
be the primary liaison to the planning commission. And of course, as you're well aware, we all have at least a dozen different liaison or outside boards or agencies that we kind of work with. So yeah, that would just be the primary, or in addition to being vice chair, they would be the Planning Commission liaison.
Yeah, I'd be supportive of that down the road.
Just a question for you, Mr. Chair. Would that belong in the policy? Or would that be an unwritten expectation?
I would say it's, there's no obstacle to putting it in the policies and procedures, but I would also say that one can do that without it being in the policies and procedures, but the sustainability and long-term use of that type of assignment would not necessarily always be there. So if it's something that the commission wishes to do, I would recommend putting it in the rules.
Thank you.
Yeah, I would just note it would give some structure to the vice chair position that's pretty loose right now. I think we have more structure on the chair. The chair is always the liaison to the commission office, for example. The chair is always the liaison to the chamber board. There's a few assignments that come with being chair, but the vice chair is just basically just to serve in the absence of the chair is the only responsibility. So I'm very open to that and would welcome more conversation on the topic. I think the sentiment is starting in 2027, is that a fair assessment? So this year our liaison assignments are set, but just for the purposes of discussion of wanting to put some more structure around that vice chair role, I think it's got some merit to it. So
Yep. Whoever wants to be vice chair going forward would understand that that's part of the deal. So, yeah. So are we okay with giving guidance to the staff then to put that into procedures?
Do we need a motion for that, or?
I don't think so. I don't know, do we?
Commissioner, we'll take that guidance, and as Meredith mentioned, we'll come back at a future meeting with
And then-
recommendation.
And then when it comes back, we'll approve the revised.
Yeah.
Yep. So,
sounds good.
and I have visited with Commissioner Benninga about it, and he was okay with it also, so he understood it. So, anyway, moving on then.
Any other suggestions
questions
or
or comments?
anything that we could potentially bring with that change as well, or? No? Great.
Okay, moving on. Legislative update, Meredith.
Yes, hello Commissioners, Meredith Jarko, Assistant Commission Administrative Officer. So it is now that time of year. I will be here every meeting giving a legislative update. The legislative session kicked off on Tuesday, January 13th. Included in this packet is my report. It's similar template to last year, but you may notice I do have a column that is completely blank. That is the South Dakota Association of County Commissioners and Officials. I have a column for their stance on bills. They have not yet come out with any of their stances on the bills, but as we move through the session, you will see this column will have, in support of, not support of, neutral, just so we can kind of keep that in mind as we are reviewing bills. So even though the session did kick off on Tuesday, they take the first day to do the state of the state and then the state of the tribes and the judiciary. So there have been a lot of bills introduced. There hasn't been a lot of movement, however. So there are a lot of bills which still haven't had their first hearing. A lot have been referred to committees and scheduled for hearings. But this update will look a lot different next week when there's some more movement. But a couple that I will just call out, of course, you have access to this full tracker, but that I will just call out while we're here. House Bill 1034, that is to increase fees for decals and license plates mailed to motor vehicle owners. So it's currently, the mailing fees for decals are $1.50, and for license plates, it's for $7.50. This would increase the mailing fee for decals to $2.50 and for license plates to $12. Just to kind of give some context around that, usually the mailing fees for license plates, depending on where their final destination is, can be anywhere from $8.50 to $15. So this bill would be really great as we look ahead to our budget season coming up in June. This would kind of help some of that deficit of providing that service, but still having to cover some of those mailing fees. In addition, there have been a lot of property tax bills introduced. The summer study finished with 19 recommendations. All of those recommendations haven't yet been introduced as bills, but we are starting to see them trickle in. One bill that I will highlight, HB 1036, that is to limit annual valuation increases on owner-occupied single-family dwellings and non-ag property to 3%. So in essence, this would be taking the idea of Senate Bill 216 that was passed last year and applying it to each individual property. And those properties with that limit annually, they would only be assessed at fair market value when the ownership changes, the classification of the property changes, or an addition or expansion is added to the property that is over the 40% of the valuation. So that is one that we're keeping an eye on, just because that would change values all across the counties. There would be neighborhoods with, houses that if they hadn't been sold in 20 years would have a much lower value than one that was purchased that year, because they would be reassessed at fair market value. Another property tax one, just since we spent a decent amount of time chatting about it. Let me scroll down to it here. Is the governor, so the governor's proposal, if you'll remember at the end of session, when the session concluded, I want to say maybe a few weeks or a month after the session ended, Governor Roden provided his suggestion of a county sales tax. So that is Senate Bill 96, which would authorize the imposition of a county option gross receipts tax to reduce owner-occupied property taxes. So all in all, the bill is very similar to his original proposal. This would be a 0.5% sales tax to offset owner-occupied property taxes. This would be decided at the commission level, at the county level. The commission could either vote on it, or if the commission decided not to vote on it, voters could petition to have it brought to a vote. So this sales tax would be to offset property taxes. If a county was to impose the sales tax and raise enough money to cover all of owner-occupied taxes, the remaining dollars in the fund would be split equally between agricultural land and non-ag, so commercial properties. In addition, for the first year, the money collected, we can set aside 2% of that money for help in offsetting administrative costs to the counties, to the county to set up the program. So whether that's new software that we would need, or extra staff time to handle the accounting, whatever that may be. And then after that initial year of setup, we can set aside each year from the funds $20,000 to help offset any administrative costs that it would incur to the county to administer this program. And then finally, the last update would be that the property tax bill must state the amount of property tax credit applied to the property. So that taxpayers, when they had their bill, they would know that their county portion, why it says 0, it's because of the property tax credit. So again, very similar to what Governor Roden put out, what was published last year, with just a couple of changes. We'll be keeping our eye on that. Can assume that there may be some amendments or things that may come out of committee, but at the time, this is where it stands. Last I saw, it was just introduced. It had late on Friday, so it has not yet been referred to a committee, so I'm sure that will happen today. And then finally, one that is not on here because it was introduced today after, of course, the agenda was published. Senate Bill 99, just as we're talking about different sales tax things, Senate Bill 99 would reduce the property tax levy for schools to $0, and it would increase retailer tax from 4.2% to 6.2%. And then the Department of Education would distribute that the extra dollars from that sales tax to schools. So again, that one doesn't necessarily impact us directly, but good to keep in mind since we take in all the property taxes. If that were to happen, that would just be, taking in less property taxes and not distributing them to schools. So again, there's a lot of bills here. Happy to answer any questions. And we'll just kind of see how the session goes next week. I'm sure there'll be a lot more bills that were amended, bills that died, bills that move forward. So, but yeah, that's what I have for you today. Open to any questions you have.
Meredith, thank you for what you do. I know it's a lot of screen time and watching committees and keeping us posted or updated. It is important to us, so thank you.
Thanks.
Public comment on this agenda item. Commission, questions?
Mr. Chair, I just throw out, I think it might be Senate Bill 97, but I think there's another bill I think that just dropped today, potentially modifying what was SB 216's growth factor cap of 3% and maybe raising that to 5%. Just heard about that, but that's something we want to verify. I just think we've got kind of a constellation of property tax bills that are interrelated, whether it's this growth factor or it's a couple different efforts to maybe raise a sales tax to lower a property tax. I just think we have to, and county commissions being at the center of one of those options, I think we have to know what our options are, and raising that sales tax. I think there's some pros and cons to it that are dependent on some of the other legislation. So appreciate your work on the bill tracker, and then I appreciate the coordination too with the county association. I think we're kind of in a situation where we have 66 counties and we've probably got 66 different opinions on how to approach this. I know Commissioner Karski is more engaged in that body. And I just see pros and cons with the governor's proposal and how some counties might not want to go that route and some might want to. And I can kind of see the arguments on each side. So I guess this is just me stating publicly, I welcome engagement from the governor's office or from the administration in any way, walking us through how it would be implemented, kind of selling us on this idea, because I guess I'm willing to be sold, but I also have my own reservations. So I think there's some duty upon the state, if they want the counties to carry out this property tax relief, they should kind of sit down with us and walk us through the mechanics of that and make sure we kind of understand the fine print of what's in it for us and for our taxpayers.
And that it's implementable.
Yes, I think just some of the experiences in the last year with our county equalization office and the 65 other equalization offices, I think we would have some ongoing concerns with the SB 216 and the fact that maybe we have some proposals that would continue to play with assessed values and not trust the methodology. I think I can speak on behalf of the equalization world that we'd like to just let them do their job professionally and equalize across the county the valuations, and then it's on policymakers to set the budgets that set the mill levies, and just understanding how property taxes work has been a difficult civics lesson for all involved. But anyway, I just think hopefully we'll get some clarity as some of these bills get weeded out and we really narrow in on, I think the governor's proposal probably has the most legs, but time will tell.
All right. Thank you, Commissioner. Any other comments?
Mr. Chair, this is probably a question you can't exactly answer, but it might be worth looking into. In regard to Senate Bill 96, or the governor's bill, I find it interesting that we can only use $20,000 in subsequent years after the first 2% to administer the program. I wonder if we would need to hire additional staff to administer it, or what exactly would be the cost to Minnehaha County to put that into practice and use that program, and if we're going to be at a deficit of some kind, or it's going to be overbearing financially to sustain that program.
Yeah, and I will say that the that it does allow for the 2% of all of the money collected in the first year to be set aside for if there were to be any software changes or stuff like that. That would be the more expensive or high dollar items. So there is at least a little bit more cushion there. But yeah, I think only time will tell once this goes to committee. And I know that last year with 216, Department of Revenue did make themselves available for some questions to be asked. I know that we didn't get all of the answers that we needed right away, but yeah, that is something that we'll be tracking just as this moves forward, what that would look like in implementation to make sure that that 20,000 would cover the administrative costs of just the different accounting of, you know, moving money around. But
Yeah. And as the liaison to the equalization office, I've had a lot of conversations with Chris Lilla about some of the implications of many of these bills and kind of seeing how his office functions and operates. And he's got quite a number of opinions and viewpoints and well-educated opinions, well-respected across the state in his field. Meredith, has Chris ever come into the commission and presented? I know we're kind of in a different legislative environment than we have been in the past, but just kind of thinking out loud here, it might be worth having our equalization director, you know, speak to some of these bills, especially the more popular bills, and how they might impact our residents and the county government.
Yes, I will say during the legislative session, I always keep in close contact with all of our department heads for different bills that arise and get their viewpoint and their background on it. But I definitely will make a note to chat with him if there are assessment related bills to get his feedback on that.
Thank you.
All right. Moving on, opportunity for public comment. Anybody from the public want to address the commission about any non-agenda item? You have 5 minutes. Commission liaison reports. All right. Non-action commission discussion. Okay. Moving on, we do have an executive session, so I look for a motion to go into executive session immediately following the commission meeting for the purposes of South Dakota Codified Law 125(2), 1, 3, 4, and 6.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We are in an executive session next door.